I really appreciate it when a team tries to make their own meta when the metagame that everyone else around them is playing with isn't working out for them. And that's something that Coach Bonchan and Coach Eson has always thrived with throughout their multiple championship winning careers. That's exactly what they're trying to do again here with Twisted Minds. As the drafts they've all shown up is now in front of you, I just like to share with you some of the things that he mentioned. In the interview, he himself said that if they tried to play in the metagame that everyone else is playing with, they'll be around middle of the table, maybe not even make it into the playoffs. But if they try to make their own meta that works for them and that works with the line of thinking of this current metagame, then they'll be able to challenge the league. And that's exactly what they're doing right now after getting their first win against, admittedly, a struggling AP Bren squad. So let's try to look at the patterns that we've seen from this drafting of Twisted Minds in week 3 of MPL Philippines. Number 1, you gotta have a fighter slash tank for Haji in the mid lane, because that's gonna act as the, initial tank for the lineup before MP the King's Alice actually comes online. So when we look at all the drafts here for Twisted Minds, in terms of the fighter tank in the mid lane that ended up with Haji, it's either the Hilda or the Cho. Fast rotation, fast clear, high poke, good sustainability, and in the case of Cho, a lot of crowd control. Number 2 is they have to pair it up with either a Florin or an Angela for Escalera. Because when you have the Florin and Angela together, you're providing some really good poking capabilities and crowd control to potentially help out the fighter in the mid lane for Haji in case they caught out. Because admittedly, having a fighter in the mid lane means that trading might actually be difficult for you, because you're usually putting yourself in more dangerous spots. You're putting yourself right up close to the roamer, and you're making yourself susceptible to getting poked down by the mid laner of the opposing team. The Florin has a great crowd control in her second ability called Sprout. It has a deceptively long distance, and of course we know what Angelo brings to the table with the heals, and of course the puppet on a string when eventually the root takes into effect. So see, good heal, good crowd control, and relatively good poke for the roam healer of Escalera paired up with Haji. And then of course the main piece of it all is that they gotta make sure that they have MP the King playing the Alice. Now we don't know what else Twisted Minds has in store for us in terms of what other picks work with this kind of strategy, because what happens if the Alice gets taken away? Will Twisted Minds be forced then to play a little bit more traditional? The times where we saw MP the King play the Joy, it struggled. Although admittedly, it's because Super Yoshi and Ukir were really good in that first game. The Ruby and the Vexana together proved to be the easier combo to pull off compared to the Cho and Florin. The Cho and Florin could have, especially the Florin, punished the Ruby, but Super Yoshi made it look easy. When we saw them deviate from that even more, then paired up a Selena as the roamer, with Hajizi getting a Hilda in the mid lane, so it's not a healing type. If Twisted Minds don't get the snowball of the Selena and the Hilda together, then they struggled against AP Bren. They couldn't set the tempo in the center of the map, because also Hajizi was taken down early on, based off of the thing that we saw wherein the Farsa makes it difficult to manage the center of the map if you're a Hilda, especially if the Gata Kaja's there and the Selena isn't nearby. And another thing about the Selena and the Hilda together, it actually works in the same line of thinking as a Selena and Jawhead. It's just burst, pick off. That's it. That's why the Selena and Hilda were taken into consideration. It's just they weren't able to get their condition correctly. Now, with everything that we've said, one of the more important things that you have to look into the draft if you're Twisted Minds is you have to ban 2 heroes, Fanny and Lo Yi. If you look at every draft, against Omega, they banned the Fanny and Lo Yi. They banned the Fanny red side, Lo Yi red side. Fanny, Lo Yi ban. Fanny Loyi ban. Literally every game they played, whatever side they were on, had a Fanny and Loyi ban committed. It's also unfortunate for them that they were up against teams that have some very good Loyi players. And this kind of strategy that Twisted Minds want to pull out, it's old school Ube, gets messed up by a Loyi and also gets messed up by a Fanny because they don't have a high invading utility roamer. They have to take out the Fanny. They can't play against it. Most importantly, since you have like a healer in the center of the map, the Fanny can just easily blast them. This is old school drafting by Twisted Minds, especially with the priorities of taking away strong burst in the center of the map. This is something that we saw a lot in MPL Philippines Season 8 when they would commit bans onto the Jawhead. And in 3 out of the 6 games, they banned Jawhead. And if you look at the other bans, Vexana, Farsa, they take away a lot of burst in the center of the map. The glue is also a great foil to this kind of strategy, so they take that out. And of course, what we learn from this, additionally, is that teams going up against Twisted Minds might want to consider just not banning the Fanny on the red side, because Twisted Minds will not play that out. They'll straight ahead ban it, and that opens up the draft a little bit more, which aligns me with the second thought that what if teams going up against Twisted Minds just try to see what happens when they give Jushin to Twisted Minds. There's probably an element of the draft I'm not seeing here, but that's one thing we haven't seen yet. A team give Twisted Minds Jushin. If they get Jushin, they can't get their fighter in the mid lane for Haji. They put Haji on the Jushin. Are they then gonna go traditional? They won't be able to pair it up with a healer. Thus, they won't be able to play Alice. So what happens if a team gives a Jushin? That's something to watch out for. If you're still here and you're watching, thank you so much. Don't forget to click the subscribe button if you want to see more. Give the video a like, and let's go ahead and back to the video. You're probably wondering, Haji's playing a roamer, maybe even a healer type in the case as the final series against AP Bren in the final game. Where are you gonna get your strong, tanky sustainability? Well, you get it in the EXP lane from James. He has to have a self-sustaining, high-impact EXP laner that acts as a secondary roamer / backline hunter. In game number 1 against Omega, it was the Hilda. In game number 2 against Omega, it was the Phoveus, and we know how devastating Phoveus can be when paired up with a healer, and how good it is in this metagame in terms of playing solo for the team. Against AP Bren, 1 Phoveus game by James, 2 Phoveus game by James. Phoveus was not available for him in the 3rd, or it was, but they decided to pick up the CC instead to pair it up with the Angela. More on that later. The Jawhead is also not a part of the plan for Twisted Minds for this kind of playstyle. So since they are not gonna be picking it up, best to just take it away and ban it out. Going back to what we pointed out earlier with all the Jawhead bans. The final one that we've seen, Angela can actually be flexed as a mid laner, as we mentioned earlier, for Haji, as long as it's paired up with a solid roamer pick with a good skill package that has a great combination of crowd control and escape. And if ever it can actually use a revitalize because of all that healing, it makes a very solid combination in the center of the map. So those are the rules, or at least patterns, that we've seen from Twisted Minds in their drafting of this kind of playstyle in week 3. Now let's go ahead and look at the games. Against Omega, Twisted Minds were outplayed by a really great Ruby game by Super Yoshi in game 1 and questionable individual decision making, and of course, Super Yoshi in game number 2. So looking at game number 2, which I feel like they totally should have won, we're going to look at their attempt to end the game. So they already have the info that in the bottom of the map, that's where the joy is. Twisted Minds are pushing with the Lord up top. There's minion waves in the bottom, although Ukir and Super Yoshi have an angle. Hajizi is in the center of it all to disrupt. MP the King and Outplayed are through the wall so that they can go ahead and enter if they want to. So when we play this sequence out, we see a few things. Haji was the one who got the kick onto Super Yoshi. MP the King decides to go in, has the Angela ult on him. it looks deep, but they have the lore, they have advantage, they're good. The only thing that's not looking good right now is that Haji was already taken out, and Outplayed was brought down to around less than 40% health. So at that point of your Twisted Minds, you're thinking, okay, let's slow down a little bit. This might not go our way. Super Yoshi is able to get out. And this is where I have the problem with the engagement for Twisted Minds. Outplayed is not in a healthy spot. If he was closer to 100% HP, or maybe at 100% flat, I'd consider, you know what, go ahead, take it. But there are also some key things that they're not counting. Lewis has his ultimate. Ukir already spent his. But Super Yoshi got away, and you didn't see the fist crack come out of the Badang. And most importantly, the Joy. When the Joy gets here, it's gonna spell trouble for Twisted Minds. They go ahead and continue this fight. They're fighting under the tower. Outplayed, you can tell him to tower lock, but with the Edith now already forced to use the Primal Wrath. Super Yoshi, you know he's gonna be coming back from base. Outplayed, it's going to be tough for him. He has to focus on the heroes first. But what Twisted Mind should have done before diving this deep was taking out the tower in the mid lane first. You take out this tower in the mid lane, your minion waves push in, and Andoryu wouldn't find an easier angle to be able to enter. Okay? So once you see that Outplayed gets caught out by Super Yoshi, that's it. You've lost the fight. You've taken out Lewis, but your gold laner's gone, and the Joy is here as well. Andoryu is able to dash, Outplayed gets popped, and Twisted Minds will lose the siege. If they didn't dive in so deep right away to try and end it here, Twisted Minds could have just gotten the middle and mid tower and get away without losing their lives. But they lose 4, and through this, Omega build the comeback. Eventually leading to the chase of Super Yoshi, maximizing the very short cooldowns that at this point a late game Badang has. Of course, this is a Badang with the support emblem, with Inspire, with Oracle, lots of cooldown reduction for him. So he was able to maximize it, and of course, the best thing here that Super Yoshi did is that he used the Fist Crack to avoid getting crowd controlled. See, CC immune on the Badang. He gets to avoid the crowd control dished out by the Jeet Kune Do third activation of the Cho. At this point, they shouldn't have committed. Once you saw that shield come out of the Badang, MP the King should have backed off. But yet, he decided to continue the chase. Super Yoshi will be able to get away. Another shield. Buy time as much as you want. He's gonna get taken down, you're gonna be down a man, and Omega will be able to end the game. So now let's look at when things go good for Twisted Minds. Let's look at their series against AP Bren. So MP the King, his rotation here was actually start at orange, go down to purple, go down to the EXP lane, with a good timed rotation as well by Hajizi. Because the tendencies of teams is roam and jungle, go topside gold crab, and the mid laner goes down to help EXP laner. And that's what they were able to do. They were able to actually cash out Chove Skirt, who forced the flicker out and was brought low in this sequence. Twisted Minds get an uncontested level 4 for the Alice, so that's one part of their condition check. They get to level 4 without a problem, which means that when the first turtle spawns, as you see in this sequence, Twisted Minds will not contest it. They'll actually go invade the purple buff where MP the King is at now in the map, if you look closely, and you'll be giving up the first turtle, but you get the purple buff of the opponent. Now, what this leaves you at is a risk of an invade later on, because since you know that the purple buff is taken away from you, you're gonna have to compensate and steal the purple buff of Twisted Minds later on, and that's what we saw AP Bren pull off. We fast forward a little bit, and then you see the eventual invade. I want to commend what James did here, by the way. He was the first one to look like initially get taken out, although he was able to survive. He flickered out, and then he went back in, popped the Infernal Pursuit, and then Infernal Pursuit again to take out Chove Skirt. So he gets first blood, and they look like they get a good trade. However, MP the King was deep in alongside Hajizi, and eventually Twisted Minds will get punished for heavily contesting this. It's also unfortunate that, hopefully you saw it there, that MP the King actually got stunned as he was flowing blood out. He threw the flowing blood already, but he got stun locked by the Lucas, by the high loss as well, meaning that he wouldn't be able to escape. If he was able to escape there, that was good. But since the Alice was stun locked, it didn't go well for Twisted Minds. Things are looking bad for Twisted Minds. They had to give up the second turtle, and they are getting pushed heavily in the gold lane, meaning Outplayed is going to lose out on farm. But at this point, Twisted Minds are able to take one of their conditions. Get a Clock of Destiny on MP the King. That's one of the main go signs for Twisted Minds to start fighting with this kind of lineup. When they have the Alice with them, build the COD. However, AP Bren, they don't have to worry about this so much. They have a good gold lead. They're able to break the tower first. They've delayed the farm of Outplayed somewhat. He's going for a bit of a chop suey build. He doesn't have his first full item yet. He's just maximizing all the cooldown reduction and spell vamp that he can get by going for this item path before building the Starlium Scythe. Now, Twisted Minds will continue to lose in the map. Because they lose the tower up top, it led to a tower break in the mid lane as well, which Haji should have given up. You're about to see it happen here. So Hajizi gets caught out, but I think Twisted Minds were actually thinking of a counter punish by MP the King, who is already coming from the bottom river to the center of the map. Maybe it could have gone well for them, but Twisted Minds, they made the right call. MP the King, once Hajizi was taken out, I believe as Hajizi was taken out, they were already making the call. Just back off, flowing blood on out of there. It's a string of events that lead to one thing to another, and now at 5:45, AP Bren said, let's get the next and last a first tier tower that we have yet to break, the bottom tower. And this is where you actually got to see hope for Twisted Minds, because they were able to extend this so long. It was through this team fight that I even called that out in the cast. I said that's a glimmer of hope for Twisted Minds. It wasn't just because of the presence of the tower that they were able to extend this fight, but because of the damage output that Outplayed was already able to dish out. So James would be the first one getting taken out here. Dare will toss out a really good shockwave blast to catch off James. And you see under the tower how fast they were able to blast Kekadon. Yes, he's taking the hits from the tower, but he's also taking hits from Outplayed. That's where I saw, okay, that looks good for Twisted Minds. That's something that they can work with. If in a sequence they can cash out Kekadot first, and they're making sure they're able to check there, then it should be okay. And that's exactly what we saw. And the eventual turnaround moment of this game number 1, wherein Twisted Minds, despite an almost 4,000 gold deficit, decide to commit the third turtle, and that's when we saw them really go online. They will catch out Kekadot first. James's positioning, very good. This is one of the bushes you really have to hold as an EXP laner if you can around objective team fights. And the second one would be the entry of Outplayed through that mid lane shrub. Once they see that Kekadot is out of position, good entry as well by MP the King to go ahead and commit the Flowing Blood along with the Blood Ode. Blood Ode already activated as well. Kekadot gets taken out, and with the Farsa already showing where he is with the Feathered Airstrike, you already saw that Kekadot brought down the ultimate. Outplayed would be able to enter through a perfect spot, dropping the Zaman Force from the inside of the shrub, dash over the wall, and under this Zaman Force, AP Bren need to back off. Choveskirt needs to reposition, James Pank and the rest needs to back off. With Dare down, you just need to chase down one more, and they decide to chase down James Pank. MP the King looked risky for him, so he decided to back off with the Flowing Blood, while the rest of Twisted Minds commit the chase onto James Panks and get the kill, get the turtle, then continue to build on this lead and advantage by invading the purple buff right after that. Despite a very rough start for AP Bren, Twisted Minds have solidified their lead here. Although we'll see that AP Bren tried to counteract this with pushes in the bottom lane, they're able to break down this tower, but since this moment, AP Bren never got to recover. The last two sequences from this game that really solidified the win for Twisted Minds. Number 1, they went ahead for an invade, but MP the King was able to secure the purple buff, with James Panks not being able to steal it away, and no one from AP Bren able to steal it away from MP the King. And watch Escalera, he is gonna set up as a Florin. Wait for it. Bang! That is a 4-man stun with the Sprout. I even called it as Florin with the set. And that set up the entry for MP the King, flowing blood in. They're able to take out Chovskirt. They're able to take out Kekadot. There goes the roam and mid, and there goes the control in the center of the map for AP Bren. And then here, Twisted Minds, they get control and make sure that AP Bren never get it. They'll be able to win this out. So AP Bren bring down the Lord low, but MP the King goes in. Good trust by MP the King, knowing that he'll be able to sustain the initial burst of damage dished out by AP Bren and outplayed as well. Perfect Zaman Force to push the rest of AP Bren back. They're able to catch Kekadot, and you see MP the King actually re-engaged and went back in to catch. So you see MP the King already tossed out the Flowing Blood, shows up right beside Chovskirt, continuing the sequence. AP Bren continue to lose, and at this point, they feel, oh no, the Alice and the Harith are online. Twisted Minds and their whole lineup right now have checked their conditions to be able to take control of this game. You see how tanky this Alice is and how much damage is being dished out by Twisted Minds over time, and with Burst paired up with the Harith. They get this Lord and they never lose control. They win game 1. Now game number 2 for Twisted Minds against AP Bren was a game lost in the first 4 minutes. It begins here at the center of the map where Hadjizi has a hard time managing the lane against the Farsa and of course against the Suyo. With Escalera elsewhere, this Hilda is gonna get punished and caught out. You lose Hadjizi there and Escalera's trying to manage bot side. That means that Outplayed will be put at risk. AP Bren immediately decide to go up top with a gank onto Outplayed, and they're able to take him down here. Again, because of the difficulty of managing the center of the map, since Hadjizi was taken out, it eventually led to the domino effect of Outplayed getting ganked and getting taken out. One thing I want to point out here though is that Outplayed felt the risk of what was about to happen, although I think he decided to bank on taking down the minion wave so they won't be able to successfully tower dive him so that it will lead to a trade, or he really just wanted gold. But as much as possible in this scenario, since there's a high risk that there's going to be a 4-man gank on you, you just back off. You even see Outplayed right now, he's holding the shrub because he knows, oh no, something bad might happen here. If he held this shrub a little bit longer to see where the rest of AP Bren are going to be coming from, he should be able to escape. However, what happened was he decided to go back into the lane, try to get something. Once he saw that there were already 4 around him, it was too little too late, and he gets taken down. This is where it could have gotten really good for Twisted Minds if this just went right, because they're actually able to steal this turtle away. MP the King clutch with the Retribution. James Banks was able to get his retry off, but he was getting disturbed by James, who chased him and was actually able to dish out some micro crowd control onto the Suyo. The micro crowd control got off, but just in time, so that James Banks will be able to get the retry maybe like 0.5 seconds, maybe less than half a second after MP the King got his off. Twisted Minds will continue to push forward. They take down James Pants, but unfortunate for them that their hits level 4 here, and this is what the Edith was drafted for and why I really like the Edith pick, because one of the things that you want to have against this kind of lineup that Twisted Minds is playing is a longer team fight, an ult that you can pop in the middle of a team fight near the end of it that will turn things around in your favor, and that is Primal Wrath in this case. They're not able to take down Dare is able to flicker away. Chovskirt has some really good positioning as well, and Dare with the Primal Wrath will be able to take down Hadjizi and even be able to take down MP the King, well, or at least set it up for Chovskirt with the double kill. If Twisted Minds got a clearer win out of that, they'd begin their snowball. But since they lost 3, or excuse me, since they lost 2, again, another example in the center of the map, Hadjizi struggling to get farm and to manage it. He's gonna get brought low by Chovskirt, but since the Hilda is already low, he's gonna miss a rotation here. Hadjizi will have to manage his wave, and that's gonna be another gank up top onto Outplayed. And Outplayed will not get taken out, but that solidifies the lead for Shizo. He was able to get the gold crab. He was able to get some more farm through the energy shielding. By the way, Shizo, after the first gank, got so much of this energy shielding, so he got to maximize this, while Outplayed wasn't even able to scratch AP Bren's energy shielding in the tower up top. Because of this next team fight that's about to break out is where AP Bren will take control and not lose this game. It was a great use of the Avatar of Guardian. Escalera got the arrow off. MP the King will be able to enter, but Outplayed, again, since Outplayed is not in a healthy spot, he's getting blasted by Shizo. He's brought down to 60% health. MP the King does have his Clock of Destiny. That's why they decided to call this fight. The difference of the gold laner being in a healthier position is what's good for AP Bren and what's bad for Twisted Minds, meaning that everything just crumbles for Twisted Minds. AP Bren got a really good ultimate off of Kekedot. They're able to take down 2 members of AP Bren, but a Twisted Minds will get wiped out here, and AP Bren never lost control and ran away with a quick win. Now, looking at the final game, this is where we got to see the fruits of their drafting labor. Twisted Minds will begin their victory here. Kekedot is able to start off the pick-off sequence onto Escalera, but James will get the Heart Guard on him. Not for the Alice. This isn't Alice's time yet. It's time for James. MP the King is in the center of it all, but the combo of the Alice and CC together, or excuse me, Angela and CC together, is just gonna be devastating. You see how fast they get pushed back, how tanky James is, how much damage he gets a deal. A double kill for MP the King, and AP Bren loses sequence. Twisted Minds knew this rotation. They were playing for this. They started off with the same rotation as game number 1. Orange start for MP the King, go down to the purple buff, go down to the AXP, see what you can get from there, go back up, first turtle spawns, you go ahead and steal the purple buff, you go back to your rotation, then you contest for the second turtle. If AP Bren won the previous game in 4 minutes, Twisted Minds were able to take control of this at around 5.5 minutes. You see they're already invading Jamepance's jungle. There's not a lot of help here. At this point, even if MP the King is so deep and he steals the orange buff, you will have the Heart Guard available for you. That's what you see here. MP the King gets frozen, gets bursted. Oh no, what happens? But the shield from Haji Z comes back in time. Twisted Minds re-engages in time. The Avatar of Guardian as a chase ultimate, doing really good. Double kill for Escalera, killing spree for MP the King, and Twisted Minds take control. And this was the dagger, as I'd like to call it. As you see, MP the King will go deep in this sequence. He will enter under the turret. He's gonna have help. The turret is still relatively healthy when he decides to go in. He avoids the Glacier of the Aurora. Aurora actually gets the passive pop. Fighting under the tower, MP the King doesn't mind. He already tosses out the Flowing Blood, as you can see here. He's surrounded by 3 or 2. Oh no, it doesn't look good. But he's able to get on out of there. Outplayed even gets Shizo down. Twisted Minds, just a good highlight from them. And that's it. Congratulations to Twisted Minds getting their first victory. Hopefully we get to see AP Bren start to rack up victories for week number 4. But what do you think about how Twisted Minds is approaching this metagame? Do you think what they're trying to do, bringing back old school Ube, utility jungles, tanks in the center of the map, healers paired up with it as well, will it work? Do you think that my suggestion of teams on the red side drafting against the Twisted Minds blue side to give them the juice in, do you think it'll work out? What do you think are the limits of this meta? And will Twisted Minds get to succeed with this? Thank you so much for watching this episode of Breakdown with Renmar. Thank you so much for all of your support. We're getting lots of subscribers. We're getting so many new people in the comment section. Lots of views for the videos. I appreciate you. Welcome to the channel. Subscribe if you haven't yet again. And of course, don't forget to watch this weekend of MPL Philippines. It's going to be the 4th week already of Season 15. I'm going to be casting on Friday and Sunday. But of course, no matter what day it is, just watch MPL for some great MLBB Esports action. See you there!